As I say, the release of a new book called Revenge, Meghan, Harry and the War Between the Windsors has caused quite the controversy over the last week. The book, written by biographer Tom Bower, criticises Meghan Markle on numerous occasions. Bower claims that it was difficult to get in touch with sources close to Meghan Markle in order to hear the good side of her. He also claims Meghan Markle has attempted to cut him off in order to control the narrative, and that she ghosts people like her father or the royal family when she doesn't like them. It's reported that Meghan Markle said the book was uncalled for. So we're asking, is Meghan Markle trying to play the victim here, or is she actually getting a rough ride from the media? Well, joining me to discuss this is the royal biographer Angela Levin, royal expert Dana Alexander, and writer for Majesty magazine, Caroline Aston. Angela Levin, I'll start with you, please, if I may. Do you actually have any sympathy for Mrs. Markle whatsoever? Do you think actually what's happening here is a media witch hunt?
I don't think it's a witch hunt. I think the problem is that we all loved her when she arrived. We were all thrilled that Harry had found someone to love and who loved him. I was one of the presenters of the wedding for CNN, and so I watched her with hawk eyes, for about 10 hours, 12 hours, and I was thrilled to bits that she joined the royal family. However, since then, as we all know, she's rejected us very firmly. She's rejected the country. It's too small. She wants to talk globally and do things globally. She's rejected our royal family, whom most of us love very much and respect. And I think she's made a very difficult place for herself. One of the problems that I think is one of the causes is that Harry sees her as an alternative to his mother, and that she's more like Diana than he could possibly have wished for. Now, this is a rather strange thing to want to marry somebody who's very much like your mother, but we'll dodge that one. And the point is that he still believes that she's looking down on him and telling him everything that he should do. And in the engagement, if you remember, the TV announcement, he said that she would be jumping up and down for joy. This is his mother, not Meghan, and that they would be best friends. And Meghan has encouraged that. She wears the same perfume as Princess Diana did. And I think it's all gone to her head that she is super special. I think she's got fantastic qualities, but she doesn't use them very nicely or very nicely.
Royal expert Dana Alexander there, I want to bring you in. Can we just ask, the fundamental point here is that Meghan Markle would say, I assume, obviously she's not here to defend herself, but I assume she would say, look, I do get a disproportionately hard time in the press by people like yourselves on this panel today. Do you think there's any merit to that argument?
Okay, well, first I'll just correct you and let you know I'm not a royal expert. I am a stand-up comedian. And I think, of course, she's right. I mean, I can't think of one royal member of the family that had to have, over 70 female MPs basically tell the press to back off. Her husband has asked earnestly for the press to stop harassing her. I mean, we're asking if she's getting a rough ride while we're giving her a rough ride for a full hour. I mean, Tom Bower, some of the language he uses to describe her is just shameful. A brazen hussy? Is that any way for a man in his early 70s to speak? And why shouldn't she feel special? She's a duchess.
An element of racism here.
Oh, I would definitely say that there is an element of racism. I think the words that the MPs used specifically were colonial undertones. We can always go back, right, to the Blackamoor brooch. She's straight out of Compton. She's uppity, right? She can't win. It doesn't matter what she does. She's not going to win with this press. And now they're mad because she wants to get away from them when they essentially chased her out of the country.
OK, but Caroline Aston, I guess the argument would be, well, look, she's gone over to the United States of America and proceeded to try and tell a sovereign nation what they should be doing on things like abortion rights, right? Is there not an element of Meghan Markle doesn't exactly make things easy for herself?
I would say that's extremely true. In many ways, the Sussexes are the architects of many of their own misfortunes. The trouble is, war is the right word, but this is a war of attrition. It's a war that no one can win. As we all know, in all wars, people are wounded, damaged, hurt. And we're in the centre at the moment of a positive storm of, well, venom, vilification, and, of course, vitriol. Tom Bower's book will make very hard reading for Meghan with some of the accusations he makes against her. Personally, rather like Angela, the impact that we all hoped that Meghan Markle would have on the British royal family. And after all, in her one person, she personified the immense changes in the structure of British society that had gone on since the Queen's reign began 70 years ago. Here was a woman of mixed race who was marrying into the very heart of an ancient institution. All of this was going to be good, and the dynamic duo of Kate and William was going to seamlessly morph into the Fab Four. Why, oh why, did it go so wrong? We cheered, we popped the Prosecco corks, we looked at this beautiful woman who had no fear of red carpets or cameras, who looked amazing, all great qualifications if you're joining the royal family. And then slowly that great wave of, I think, a pretty genuine love and admiration evaporated. And you have to ask yourself, why? They went away. They've gone to America to become financially independent. But I'm afraid to say, like many people in this country, I am developing Sussex fatigue, especially when the Daily Mail virtually every day runs stories that, yes, generally are hypercritical of Meghan Markle. What has she done to deserve that?
And Caroline Aston, what would you say to Dana Alexander, the stand-up comedian there, the remarks there about there being an element of racism in much of the criticism of Meghan Markle?
I would certainly agree with her, because I think some of the press coverage before they left this country went very near that. Totally abhorrent. Should not happen. We should have been looking at what Meghan brought to the equation, not concentrating on that, looking at the very positive elements. She's sassy, she's bright, she's plucky, she's feisty. After all, you don't get a role in a very successful TV series like Suits by being a shrinking violet. Guts, grit, but maybe just a little too anxious to hit the ground running and become a proto-Princess Diana. And I think some of the behaviour, the critiques made, for example, of American politics, etc. I rest my case for the moment. I would agree, though, there was a racist element.
Angela, I want to bring you back in. Do you accept that there is a racist undertone to much of the criticism of Meghan Markle?
Not too much of it, but there'd always be something that the public would hang on to. That she's of mixed race, they would hang on to. They'd hang on to if she was tall, if she was small, if she had red hair, blue hair. You know, unfortunately, for anybody who joins the royal family, they're in for an awful lot of criticism. They have to bear it. Look at Camilla, the Duchess of Cornwall. She had the most hideous comments made about her. I feel sorry for that. But what I don't feel sorry for is that Meghan told falsehoods when she was being interviewed by Oprah Winfrey. She's organised this talk when the with Prince Philip was extremely ill and dying, and she and Harry knew that. I think she has, we said the other day that it doesn't matter if it's not true, it matters what she's feeling. Well, I think that's total nonsense, actually. Though you can twist things and make them inaccurate because that's how you feel.
Okay.
Oh, that's a woke nonsense.
Yeah, Dana Alexander, then I want to let you come back into what you've just heard. This seems to be Meghan Markle, you know, she's made her own bed. She should lie in it, shouldn't she?
I don't know exactly what she's done because she seems pretty silent to me. And if I actually think that Tom Bower should rename his book to Spite, because I've never seen such petty malice, especially from a man of his age. It's absolutely ridiculous. Okay, so she said she got married in her garden before, but it's all this little picking. Even when I wasted 15 minutes of my life listening to an excerpt from his book about her. It's so petty. It's, she was bullying the staff. I noticed there's never really any specifics. It's all conjecture. And I'll tell you, as a Black woman, one of the things I noticed right away is she's angry. she's difficult. These vague ways to kind of paint her as this monster. And I think it's so interesting because when we watched the Oprah interview, a lot of these assertions were made by Harry, not Meghan, but somehow she's still catching the blame. I wonder what that's about.
Okay, so Caroline Aston, do you disagree with that?
I'm afraid to an extent I do, because if the Oprah Winfrey interview had been a court case, well, a very cogent prosecution case was presented, but there was no defence. It was a very soft-edge interview. And actually, Harry didn't have nearly as much airtime as Meghan did, and they contradicted themselves. At one moment, she's saying she was subjected to racist comment while pregnant, and then Harry appears and said, no, the conversation happened before they got married. And it's these seeming mistruths, misunderstandings, that lead us to doubt many of the things that are now said, hence the place we're in at the moment.
Angela Levin?
Well, the thing that I'm mostly sorry about is that she's completely changed Harry, or Harry has completely changed since he got married. I think the importance is if you have a relationship that you want somebody who brings out the best in you. And I think she's brought out the worst in Harry. I did his biography in 2017 and I spent a year and a quarter with him. And he was a wonderful man, charismatic, charming, had the instincts that his mother had, fantastic. But since he's been married, you just look at his face. Harry wears his heart on his sleeve and you can look at him and see he's very unhappy. He's very resentful. He's very difficult and he's scared of his wife. He doesn't want to, he adores her. Absolutely, but he doesn't want to upset her in any way, so he feels he's got to do what she tells him. And so he will lie. He knew, for example, you can't get married 3 days before and marry twice in a week. And it's not a simple thing. It's a very powerful thing because she said that all that paraphernalia, which cost the country £32 million to provide that wedding, was nothing, nonsense. It's for everyone else. They wanted to be authentic. Well, that's pretty cruel, isn't it? When somebody gives you the most amazing wedding you could ever wish for and they sort of push it away as if it's meaningless. Those are the sort of things that they might seem simple, but actually they're fundamental to a very strong character who will not let anything be positive.
Dana Alexander, I can see you smirking there.
Well, I mean, again, he's controlling her, again, with the vague conjecture. What are you basing that on? And I think if we really get to the crux of this, you just want her to be so grateful. She's in the royal family. She doesn't have much choice over her wedding. And I think ultimately the British public is upset because she said, hey, maybe being a British princess isn't all it's cracked up to be, and I'm out of here. And I think that maybe the British people are a little bit insulted by that.
Angela Levin?
Well, I think that can't possibly be true. I spent a lot of time with the person. If you see them 2 years later or 3 years later, and you see how unhappy they are, you have a right to say that because you've got the experience of being with him. But actually, the fact is, they wanted to leave. They left. The Queen didn't stop them. They left in a rather impolite way by putting it up in Twitter rather than talking about with the family. And they could have signed a note together saying we wish them very well, but they just gave him a bombshell. That was very unkind, I think, especially to his grandmother who he's supposed to love.
Okay.
And then, but they want to hang on to the titles. When
Dana?
she's telling off America, she wants to still be known as the Duchess of
Would you not think that this level of scrutiny is putting a strain on their marriage? Would you not say that maybe you are perhaps, and some of this coverage is contributing to the failure of her marriage? And I mean, at the end of the day, that would be the best for the British public because that's the only way you're going to get rid of her is if he divorces her.
No, she can divorce him. I mean, that's just the same. No, that's nothing to do with it.
She probably won't. It seems like they love each other a lot. They're on their second baby. So I don't know where you're getting they're so unhappy. They look pretty happy to me. All the lip readers and body language specialists.
I'm not saying her. If you look at Harry, you can see that he is traumatized and he's very unhappy.
Come on.
No, it's true. Anyone who
it's conjecture and it's based on nothing. And it's just adding fuel to the fire and is probably a lot of the reason for the breakdown in their marriage, if that's actually happening. And I don't think it is.
Angela, do you disagree with that ultimately? But I think a lot of my viewers will be of the view that actually there has been a throwing back in the British public's face. The support that went out for them, this caricature of being some kind of, I don't know, racist backwater that wouldn't accept Meghan Markle because of the colour of her skin. Does that really bear fruit in a country that enjoys race relations as fantastically as we do?
I don't think that's
well,
the truth.
I'm wondering, I'm guessing none of you have actually been subject to racism in this country, so I don't know how you could make.
No, but Dana, you did move here from Canada, so I'm assuming that you haven't moved to a racist hellhole.
Well, I don't think I like how people like to speak in extremes. I was shocked by a lot of the racism. I just finished watching a broadcast with Majid Nawaz, who had his face kicked in by people calling him the P word. I've been broadcasting on a show with the broadcaster next to me getting fired for anti-Semitic remarks. So, I mean, sell me another one.
Right.
Racism exists all around the world. And I mean, the problem is you guys want people to kiss the ring and keep up appearances, but that doesn't really move us forward when it comes to race relations.
Angela?
No, I just said we were very happy for them to leave if that's what they wanted. But it seems that they are clinging on to their past and they want to use their royal titles and being part of the royal family for financial gain. And the Queen made that very clear that they can't do that. They can go away, they can
earn their money. HRH.
I have to say something. I have to come in here and say that I totally agree with that. A central issue here is the fact that the USP of the Sussexes is their royal connection, a connection that they decided to walk away from and which has to be used to keep them perpetually in the public gauge so they can generate money from the big corporations. That's how it works. Hence, it's a catch-22 situation and, yes, a war of attrition at every level, which will not end well for anyone.
OK, folks, well, we could go on and on. We're going to have to end it there, Dana. I do apologise. We've run out of time, but I do thank you all for your contribution today. That was the stand-up comedian there, Dana Alexander, royal biographer Angela Levin, and for Majesty Magazine, Caroline Aston.